Hi again and welcome to Symposia Soundbites. I'm Andy Vance with Feedstuffs, hosting a conversation brought to you by Balchem from the Penn State Dairy Cattle Nutrition Workshops. So at Balchem's pre-conference symposia, we had a chance to talk with Corwin Nelson from the University of Florida. Dr. Nelson, if you had to describe your talk to the symposium in 60 seconds or less, how would you explain what you talked about?
Yeah, so broadly it's the role of rumen-protected choline in fetal programming for our replacement heifers. So the fetal program is one of those hot topics that's out there now that everybody cares about with their heifer development program. So what is it? So I'd start off talking about what is epigenetics and what does that have to do with fetal programming, and then give evidence from our experiments that we've done at the University of Florida showing that providing rumen-protected choline in late gestation improves that development of that heifer through both the colostrum effect and the effect of just in utero exposure.
Let's unpack that a little bit. So let's start with this concept of epigenetics. So in the context of this fetal programming effort and understanding how what mom eats affects the critters she throws off, explain epigenetics. So pretend I know nothing about your field of study. What is that?
Right. So we all know the cow has a genetic potential, her genes that she has. So that's the instructions for the cells in her body. So how do you get from those instructions for every cell in the body knowing what it's supposed to do? And so the epigenome is taking those instructions and basically I put it as providing the punctuation or emphasis on what message is supposed to be delivered to that cell.
And nutrition is an important part of that whole process of unpacking those instructions, I gather.
Yes, so fetal programming is really the way I define it, the interaction between the environment with that epigenome. So there's many things that can affect that, from the pathogens or the microbiome, and nutrients are a major part of it. And because of choline's role as being a methyl donor, that's thought of how it really plays a role in influencing fetal programming.
So let's dig into that a little bit. With choline in specific, you've been studying this. What's the data shown you at this stage?
So one of the first surprising things we had from an experiment we did feeding late gestation cows rumen-protected choline, and the objective of that experiment was to look at milk production of the cow. So yes, it improves milk production of the cow, but what we saw in that is the heifers born to those cows had greater weight gain from weaning to a year of age, and even after they calved, then they still had greater body weights. So then we designed another experiment to really test the effect of whether it's in utero exposure or colostrum. Turns out it's both. That late gestation choline it has a positive effect just from the in utero exposure and a positive effect on the colostrum in regards to IgG absorption.
So let's take this to a practical level then. We've discovered some things in the lab with our research efforts. If I'm a nutritionist out in the field, what's the takeaway message from what the data is telling you?
So by feeding that rumen-protected choline in that late gestation period of that cow, and for the cow's production, it's even into the early lactation, but at least in that late gestation period, you're going to have positive benefits for the cow, and you're going to have positive benefits for that calf. So it's a win-win situation in that case. You get, I'd say, more bang for your buck than what we thought was taking place.
We'll leave it there on a high note. Dr. Corwin Nelson with the University of Florida, one of the speakers at the Balchem Pre-Conference Symposium from the Penn State Dairy Cattle Nutrition Workshops. From Feedstuffs, I'm Andy Vance.